Is it possible that you have never previously considered anything so peculiar? In the same way that a treasure hunt movie would be difficult to believe, it is illogical, weird, and difficult to comprehend. Without a doubt, it seems as if you have arrived to the Chronicles of Black Channel, and you can be confident that this is not a work of fiction. Please consider subscribing to our channel and sharing our videos if you like watching them. The Bible of Ethiopia has a number of chapters that are among the most mysterious and controversial in the annals of human history. The whole of the nation is veiled in mystery, but we will save it for another page. Ethiopia is the only African country that has managed to avoid being colonized, and it is justifiably proud of its position as the home of one of the oldest civilizations in the world, the Ethiopian civilization. This means that according to Jewish tradition, Ham, one of Noah's sons, is thought to be its founder. However, for the sake of this conversation, let us disregard Ethiopia as a whole and concentrate on the country's resources. Ethiopia is home to some of the earliest versions of the Bible scrolls that have ever been uncovered. Even before the famous King James edition, these scrolls were already in existence. In addition to the 66 books that are contained in the King James edition, the Ethiopic Bible has an extra 88 books that are not found in any other Bible, with the exception of the one that is unique to this particular Christian religion. Not only do these scrolls include the New Testament and the Old Testament, but they also contain other texts that have never been discovered before. The fact that these scrolls were in existence in Ethiopia prior to the arrival of Christians in the 4th century is what makes them that much more remarkable. It was by the 4th century that Christianity had established itself in Ethiopia. In comparison to other nations where Christianity was first brought in the middle of the 6th century, Christians in Ethiopia have been able to enjoy a relatively peaceful and secure environment for a considerable amount of time. Cosmos Indicopleustes, an Egyptian historian, adventurer, and monk, came to Ethiopia and saw personally the commitment of the Christian community to their religion. This was after the Christian population had fled persecution in kingdoms and empires that were not Christian. A large number of Christian refugees were welcomed by the kings and queens, as he saw. The Christian religion has been practiced by a number of Ethiopian tribes for close to 3,500 years. This used to be referred to as, although it is often believed that the Catholic clergy was the first Christian institution in the world, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church was really the first Christian organization found anywhere in the world. An additional point of interest is that Ethiopia is the location of the world's first illustrated Christian book. 2010 saw the discovery of an old Ethiopian text, which was discovered at a monastery located on a mountain in Ethiopia. According to the Kasta, which is a highly revered religious book in Ethiopia, it contains a portion from the Gospels that was written in the language known as Guizi. During the 10th century BC, the Queen of Ethiopia, who is also referred to as Queen Sheba in the Bible, traveled to Jerusalem in order to seek the counsel of King Solomon. However, the Bible does not mention Menelik, the son of the two kings, who was restored to the position of Ethiopian emperor upon his return to Ethiopia by Queen Sheba. This is despite the fact that this event did take place. The tale of Sheba's visit to Jerusalem and the subsequent mingling of local Ethiopians with Egyptians, Israelis, or Syrians about 3,000 years ago was supported by evidence that was discovered in 2012 by scientists via the analysis of the DNA of a large number of Ethiopians. There is a widespread tendency to reject the Ethiopian Bible and exclude it from the canon of holy books, despite the fact that it is genuine and has credentials. Even among those who claim to be its adherents, there are other people who are unaware of its existence. So what exactly is going on here? A concise summary of our history ought to resolve any of your questions and concerns. In response to your question, the Bible did not exist at the time when it was first written. A variety of individuals throughout history have developed a variety of interpretations of the Bible, as well as a variety of opinions about the meaning of the Bible. Even though there are many different translations of the Bible, the original text was written in Hebrew. Around the year 400 AD, Saint Jerome was the first person to construct the Vulgate, which is a Latin translation of the religious texts written in Hebrew. In the Vulgate, which is the most official Latin translation of the Bible, the 27 books that make up the New Testament and the 39 works that make up the Old Testament, which was originally known as the Hebrew Bible, are both preserved. During the 1st century after the Common Period, a number of works were produced that recounted the life and teachings of Jesus. Some of these writings were based on truth, while others were based on fiction. The life of Jesus was recounted in these novels, which were comparable to fanfiction as well. As soon as these novels were made available to the public, readers started mistaking them for genuine stories, which is when the issue started to arise. In the event that we were unable to promptly verify the assertions made in books, it would be simple to comprehend how these claims would proliferate and undermine the trustworthiness of the genuine teachings of Jesus. This notion is made abundantly evident by the fact that misleading information travels for a considerably longer period of time than actual news does. Those in positions of authority in the academic and religious communities got together to discuss this matter and decide which works ought to be taken into consideration for inclusion in the Bible. One of the most crucial aspects of the protracted process that took place over the course of many centuries in order to canonize the Bible was the thorough study of the legitimacy, trustworthiness, and message contained inside each book. It was believed that all of the works that were deemed to be canonical were of great spiritual and theological significance, and that they were inspired by God. It is important to note that the eventual canon did not include all of the early Christian works. This particular edition of the Bible, which is often referred to as the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church canon, has a number of additional books that are not present in other versions of the Bible. Despite the fact that not all Christian denominations recognize these sacred texts, which are referred to as the deuterocanonical books, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church does. These books were not included in the canons of other Christian religions until very recently. This was due to the fact that they were not generally accessible. Because the Ethiopian Bible was stored inside the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, researchers and theologians from other parts of the world were either ignorant of its existence or unable to get access to it. As a result, these texts were excluded from the canon of other Christian denominations during the whole process of canonization. The language barrier was another element that contributed to the deletion of the book. The Ethiopian Bible was written in Guizi, an ancient Semitic language that is no longer spoken. Guizi is the language that was used to compose the Bible. When it came to researching and assessing these literature, academics from all over the globe had a difficult time doing so owing to the language barrier, which further limited their inclusion in the canon. Particularly noteworthy is the fact that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is able to lay claim to a lengthy and extensive history of Christian practice that dates back to a time long before Christianity spread to a significant portion of the world. The Ethiopian Christian community has been able to preserve its unique religious practices and literature, despite the fact that it has been isolating itself and experiencing political turmoil for decades. Despite the fact that the Bible is not included in the canon of other Christian denominations, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church puts a high value on the Bible and the vital role it plays in their religious life and worship. Over the last several years, there has been a growing interest among scholars and theologians from various Christian traditions in the contents of the Ethiopian Bible. For the purpose of gaining a deeper comprehension of the theological and historical significance of these texts, a significant amount of effort has been invested in translating and analyzing them. As a consequence of this, the Ethiopian Bible is beginning to gain recognition outside of the Orthodox Church in Ethiopia. Lastly, but certainly not least, the holy chapters that are included in the Ethiopian Bible contain additional books that are not included in any of the other translations of the Bible. The fact that it is not included in the canon of other Christian traditions may be attributed to a number of factors, including language barriers, limited accessibility, and the fact that the process of canonization took place under different historical conditions. On the other hand, the Ethiopian Bible is gaining increasing recognition and is being actively studied in the academic and theological communities that are located outside of Ethiopia. Furthermore, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church holds it in very high regard.